it's a groove, it's a rhythm. No in between. Well, I don't you have to take what you're given. I move on, yeah, I move on. 1 minute, then I'm gone. This is just me. There's no in between. So this
is just me.
Is just me.
Why there is no in between.
So
This ain't my scene, I'll beg my leave. My face ain't clean, this is just me. Some ways I lean, escaping green. I state my dream, not in between. This ain't my scene, I'll beg my leave. My face ain't clean, this is just me. Some ways I lean, escaping green. No in between.
This is just me. A sound, a style, a groove, a rhythm.
No in between.
I know you have to take what you're given. I'll move on, yeah, I'll move on. 1 minute, then I'm gone. I'm gone. So this is just me. It's a sound, it's a style, it's a groove, it's a rhythm. No in between. I know you have to take what you're given. I'll move on, yeah, I'll move on. 1 minute, then I'm 1 minute, then I'm
And I'm Peter.
And you're totally watching the Coffee Shop Conversation Show. This is where we give real answers to real entrepreneurs on their burning entrepreneurial questions. So this is going to be absolutely fantastic, and we have some amazing people in the house today going to ask us some real life questions. And then we have all of our tribe members over here going to play the game. So our tribe members will put on their heart emoji if they are happy to answer a question. Whoever puts on the heart emoji first gets to answer the question, and then obviously the more you speak, the more people get to know you, the more everyone resonates with you. So that's what you win for being on the panel. And then our guests get all of this amazing information from our tribe members on the panel. So yeah, if you guys are happy, let's maybe get going. Peter, do you want to introduce our guests?
I think before we start to get too involved, obviously there's a backstory to this. So today we are pushing forward and we're giving back to the community today. Normally we are stepping into helping entrepreneurs on their journey. Today we are stepping into helping an NPO organization. We give them as much information as possible. So I would like to introduce Beth and Tina. Beth and Tina, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about where you're from.
I'm going to start. Beverly and myself come from a care center ourselves. So what we realized is that when we were in a care center, people were being unable to provide for themselves. Actually, what happened is what they've been enabled to stand up when they stay in a care center. And so what we did with Soul Outreach was to say that we would like to take people from the street that's really struggling. And I know that we've all been hit by the COVID-19. It's not everybody, but most of the people that live under a certain amount of salary, they were hit. So they lost their houses, they lost their works. So what happened is we take them into soul outreach. What happens is that people tend to judge them. We've got people that had their own businesses that landed up in the streets. So what we try to do is we take them into soul outreach. We give their pride and dignity back to them. We test them for a month or two to see if they're willing to be helped. If you really want to be helped, we kind of get you a sort of form of work to get you back on your feet. We've got a success rate of about 8 people already that came into our overnight shelter. And let's not just talk about people of COVID. We also do have people that used to use drugs, and it was a successful rate where they went to rehab and where they got work again, they got their own places, and they got back on their feet. And that's basically what we're doing here. Women and children that we are taking in right now, it's women, men don't support their wives. Men lost their jobs. And I know if you recognized with COVID that most of the women actually kept their work right through of this COVID. We took in a few women right now, and what we're trying to do is take them into soul outreach. Because remember one thing, most of these people that's been on the street for 10 years, 6 months, 3 months, maybe 2 days, 6 days. And they feel really low in their lives. So what we're trying to do is we want to bring them up again. We're giving them spiritual upliftment on a Thursday night. We load everybody in our vehicle. We take them to church on a Sunday. We bring that dignity, that hope, and that faith back into their lives. Most, like I say, most of the guys and the women here, the women that came in, we're trying to give them a job opportunity to be representatives for soul outreach. And should I say, it's actually working out very well. They're very determined and they're on time, even if they stay at the shelter. So that's our aim here and our vision. Basically, what we're trying to do is to open up 20 of soul outreach overnight shelters. We're a non-drug tolerance. We don't allow drugs here. We do a random test. Unfortunately, we cannot bring in drug addicts or sober people. So that's our aim here at Soul Outreach, is to help the people from the street, bring them back, put them back on their feet, and try and get some form of work to just make them feel good about themselves. And that's Soul Outreach.
Yeah,
We started.
I think for myself, I mean, this is something that's actually close to my heart. So you guys were introduced to me through a mutual contact or a friend of mine, Monica, who is in one way or another involved with Soul Outreach. And when she mentioned the story, this is a story that's very close to my heart because I've actually been there. So I can understand the low, and I can understand the frustration, and I can also understand the feeling of lack of that certain respect or that dignity that a human being should actually have. So this is very close to my heart. I really love what you guys are doing. So I think what we would love to do is we would love to find out what questions or what problems are you guys facing at this moment within your program that you need information on, that you need to understand how to do certain things, that we can actually step in and give you those answers. Because obviously the more answers we give you, the more capable you guys can become of actually doing things the right way. Obviously, entrepreneurs and business, you guys run an NPO. The more you understand, the better everything can run. So we obviously want to do our part, and this is us giving back. So, what are you guys battling with at the moment?
Our biggest battle that we're facing right now is we give chances in life. So we had people who came into our shelter and they fixed our roofs here. Now at this stage we can accommodate between 20 and 30 women and children in our one area that we've got here. They came in and they fixed our roofs here. What happened is we trusted them. They didn't do the job properly. So we've got rain pouring in everywhere. We need to put in showers. We need to put in toilets and basins so we can accommodate more people. At
Okay,
this
so-
stage, we're accommodating 25 people right now.
Okay. So
But that's
so
the biggest thing that we're facing right now.
So your biggest thing at the moment would be funding. So obviously that you can actually then afford to then do
Funding.
the things that are necessary. Okay.
Tell me, are you currently
sponsorship?
currently do you have sponsors? Are you relying on public donations? Are you looking for government grants or doing strategic partner work?
What they told us is that we're an MPC. NPOs is the ones that they qualify for government grants. So we only rely on businesses and companies to support us. We don't get any government grant. We don't get any overseas grant or whatever the case may be. So basically what we're doing, we're approaching each and every business and company in our area and other towns and areas for donations and to help us with this.
Okay. So as far as my understanding goes, your number one problem then would be exposure to those businesses.
That's correct.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. Super.
And Tasha Cole has put up her heart like a million times already. So shall we just give Miss Kif a chance to shine? Miss Kif, what advice do you have for our NPO guests?
Hi, Martina. And yeah, I feel like you should do a crowdfunding. I feel like the message really resonates with me. I lost my job last year in COVID. And the job that was keeping a roof over my head type of job. Whilst I was hustling my business on the side. And I actually had to relocate from England to South Africa. Otherwise, I would have been homeless. So the thing is for me is I would say start crowdfunding, GoFundMe page, start a campaign online where you really show your message. And I feel like even just having this coffee shop conversation, you're going to really have that platform to leverage your crowdfunding. Also, not just funding, ask for volunteers, ask for people that are workers, people that are roofmen, if they can just labor for like a couple of hours a day or whatever they can fit into their schedule, or do they know anybody to do stuff that can labor, But crowdfunding is a massive thing, and crowdfunding is something international too, especially, and something that you could do is approach local radio stations or newspapers and things that can get out to the community and just say, I just want to please, I can't get funding from the government because we're not an MPO, we're MPC, and if anything can help to spread the word. But yes, I just wanted to share that, anybody can be homeless. So you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you, Tasha.
In regards to crowdfunding, we do happen to know an expert on crowdfunding who actually wrote a course on crowdfunding.
Who currently is watching on Facebook.
Who's currently on Facebook. So that is a connection that we can make. We can actually put you in contact with a person that can teach you how to do crowdfunding. So that you can take that skill and utilize that skill, so that you can actually, okay. So that's one thing in the bag.
Thank you, Miss Kiv, and thank you for being vulnerable with us. I have also been forced to resign before, just saying, and I'm a chartered accountant, registered auditor, and I have a couple of awards. Okay, it's not nice. It can happen to anyone.
Well, the reality of the situation in most countries is that people are literally almost 2 paychecks away from having nothing. Everybody relies on a paycheck. It's 2 paychecks. One paycheck to make a month, and the next paycheck goes into your debt, and the next thing you know, you can't afford rent, you can't afford food, and you're back where you started with nothing. So 2 paychecks, that's very scary. It's very scary.
We did get a heart from Stephen Levy, so I am
Right.
super excited to hear what he has to say.
Thanks, Esteem, and thanks, Tina and Beth, for sharing your story. And while I was listening to it, I thought maybe we got this coffee shop the wrong way around, that us as entrepreneurs should be asking you questions.
Yes.
Because, wow, that was quite a story, and I can't speak for everybody else. I've been at a point where I had to kind of sell anything and everything. Thank God, not my assets, but I had to sell stuff to keep it up. But listening to your story, I haven't been where you've been, so I thought, well, maybe I'd like to ask you some questions. But in answer to your question, I would like to. I don't know. I know to get sponsorship and funding, the crowdfunding that Tasha referred to, I know is very possible because we've seen it on the Fempreneur course. But I would like to say to you that maybe Nestine can give us a recording of your intro, because not one of us could actually tell your story like you just did. And what I would do, and Nestine knows, not being a technological person, I will share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And I will share it also with businesses that I have contact with. But I would love to share your intro, because that was so powerful. Not one of us will replay that or be able to copy that. And so that's what I think we should do, or I would like to do, is to give you, it's the visibility that Tash was probably referring to as well. And also, I think with the NPCs, I would like to put you in touch with someone who's actually quite a master. I'm going to speak to him and then put you in touch with him in terms of raising funds. He's worked for about 10, 15 years doing that. He's in Cape Town. He's actually my best friend since 1985. So I'm going to speak to him and then I'll connect the two of you.
Can I say amen?
85 was a good year.
Amen.
Yeah,
I
so
love this tribe
whether he
so
can
much.
do anything, I'm not sure, but I will speak to him this afternoon or this evening, and then I'll get your details from you. And yeah, I don't really have, besides putting it out there for you, I don't really have much other advice. What I'm also going to do is put it in, and Esteem knows I belong to BNI, and it's a lot of businesses. I want to share your story on that group, because there are people, there are plumbers, there are roofing people, there are people from every industry, especially the trades that you're looking for, and maybe it's their opportunity to give back and help you. And they're all over the country. So yeah, that's it. But
Awesome.
you're both flipping, what you're doing, you're both flipping awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, I'd like to just add something. I don't know when I'm allowed to come in here and add something.
You're the guest today. The spotlight's yours whenever
you,
you
my
feel like
darling.
adding something.
I'd like to add something that really and truly is, to me, is a very scary thing. When we started our organization 2 years ago, it was hectic. However, now it's so scary you cannot believe it. I want to give you an idea of what we're talking about. In the last 3 days, last night we took a lady in that has slept at a roadhouse here in Brakpan for 3 nights. She's petrified. When I tell you petrified, it took us a long time last night to calm her down and make her realize that she is sick. A couple of nights ago, we took in a lady and her husband that had been out there 3 months on the street. These people, now picture it. They're not used to ablution. They're not used to anything. 3 months on the street for a woman, for anybody, to me, is unacceptable. Today, we got a lady and a 14-year-old son. They were about to be put on the street. So we've taken them in, and this is happening all the time. The guy that you met the other day, Peter, that guy's been out on the street 10 years. He's got gangrene very, very badly. Shame. But now, if I show you a pic of that guy now, we're feeding him up. He's got proper sanitation. He's now actually eating us out of house and home. He looks awesome. We still need the medical care for him, but he's part of the family. He comes by so every 10 minutes for something to eat, even though he gets 3 meals a day. But that's awesome. He's been off drugs now. It's going for his 3rd week. And that guy's been on drugs for the best part of his life. And our shelter currently is full of people like that. And I think it's a disgrace that we've got to get to a point where people have to resort to the streets. It's bad because there's a community out there, and I believe that everybody sees that. But I think people are walking around with blinkers on and thinking, you know what, I'm going to give that guy 5 rand. That's it. That's my job for the day. What they're doing is they're potentially adding to that guy getting his next fix for the day. So they could be giving him his death warrant with that 5 rand. We need to be bringing them in, giving food, giving a safe place to stay, and also spiritual upliftment and counseling when need be. So the people out there giving funds to the people on the street, I'm saying it's wrong. It really and truly is wrong.
100% correct.
Thanks for sharing that. From our side, Stephen, I think that is an absolutely epic idea. So I will put together the video with snips from this footage and make it all about these amazing 2 people and the NPO and the good work they're doing. I'll put it on our YouTube channel. We'll share it on all our social channels, and then I'll notify the whole tribe so we can do the same.
Sorry, Steve, I know Steve wants to talk, but just for us technologically challenged, please put it on WhatsApp too. So
That's me as well.
I promise, Stephen. I'll put it on WhatsApp in our coffee shop group. Then I have a question for the panel. So think about this while Stephen is giving us his answer, because I know Stephen Westwood had his heart up as well. But I want you guys to think about, do you think we could integrate, or is there space to integrate some kind of entrepreneurial coaching or program, or put them in touch with someone that does that for the people that they are taking in? So just think about that, panelists, please. And then in the meantime, Stephen Westwood, please give us your best shot.
Hi, thank you. I just want to say it's fantastic work that you both are doing. Honestly, it's amazing. And sad that it's necessary. Homelessness, even here in the UK, we're encouraged to give food and to give drink because the money would probably go to their addiction. But in terms of getting you funding, it is all about getting your message out there, and everything that Tasha has said and everything that Stephen said is completely correct. Now, I'm a copywriter. I do write, and I hate it, but I do distribute press releases. So I could help you with that. I also write case studies, so I would love to be able to connect and help you put together something that can then be used to spread the word for you. Because I think what you're doing is very important. And as you said about this element of community, and we all do live in communities, and we should all be helping make the community a better place. And the work that you're doing is just phenomenal. So I would like to volunteer some of my time working with you for that. In regard to Nestine's question, that does lead on to something that I have been looking at while Tasha and Stephen Levy were talking. If you were to offer entrepreneurial courses, if you were to offer leadership, or if you were to offer work skills, if you could find a way of doing that, what that will then do is that will follow through what you've already established and what you've already set up. And you could set up different programs where people then have the skills and the knowledge to go off and continue the journey on their own.
That's it.
Stephen, you are incredible. Ladies, can I just put this into perspective with you? This is a person that charges about £300 a page. That is the pricing like a year ago. So I'm sure it's £600 now because it's been like all over the news and in everything. So that is incredible, incredible, incredible. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thanks,
You're
Stephen.
welcome.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you. Because without that, you can feed them, you can give them spiritual upliftment, but we need to get them back on their feet and back into the community with pride. That is important. We do have a little workshop over here, which is actually awesome. We've got woodworking going on here, and we've got all the tools that were sponsored to us. Problem is, and I'm going to be very honest with you guys, what happened was we got the guys in from the street,
Didn't know them,
gave them and said, come guys, we're going to do this and I want you to go see what you can do. And then we're going to put you out there. And they stole all the tools. So that's awesome. But we are learning. It's a major learning curve for us. But we cannot, what we do each day is wake up the next morning, it's a new day. And there's new people, and we got to carry on with that. We cannot base and judge the new people coming in with what happened the day before.
That's one thing we don't do. We don't judge. We don't discriminate. I don't want to know your past. I don't know where you're from. I don't care where you're from. We're right here, right now, trying to help you to get back on your feet and to make a little bit of a future for yourself going ahead.
I like that. I really do. It's the same as telling a man to go fish and then you just don't give him the fishing rod. You can stare at the water all day long. He's not going to catch fish unless he has a fishing rod. So giving somebody the tools to do their job and training is a tool. It's a tool they can use to then grow themselves and improve themselves. So
I like the analogy you used the other day. I don't even know if you call it an analogy, but Peter said, "I will forever remember." Is my new favorite saying. He said, "You can bring a horse to the water, and you can't make it drink, but you can push it into the water, and then it will have to swim."
That's good.
Absolutely.
So I know Tasha has some more amazing advice to give. I have another question for the panel. So if you guys can think about this so long, maybe this is something that Mr. Sales and our magazine owner, Boss Babe, can actually answer. But I'm thinking, like, if we had like a very well-known NPO in the network, or even like on the outside of the network, is that something that people would pay like for to be associated with the NPO? Maybe have the logo on their channel if they have one, or on the website, or because things like this, like, people resonate with stories like these, isn't it? So I don't know. You guys know I know nothing about marketing, but I'm asking the panel. So, but until you guys get to answer, Miss Kev, I have a feeling I know what you want to say.
Okay. 2, 3 things. So firstly, in terms of, okay, I know resources is a obviously it's going to be your downfall. You don't have computer systems, you don't have etc. So digital learning is going to be difficult for now, because you don't know what's going to happen in 3 months, 6 months with this awesome funding that's coming your way. So in terms of something that might be really good, because obviously when people come from wherever they are to where they are now, the one thing is dreaming is like, well, you know, their dreams get shattered, I suppose. There's no hope and belief. And I feel like my ebook, which is the ultimate goal setting ebook, is I want to gift it to you so that you can maybe print it out for your like incomers, and just say anybody who wants to goal set. So for instance, it's what I like about my ebook is that it really works with the mind and makes you reflect and resonate on yourself and really go into key, I call it the 10 key areas of your life, which is your work, your career, your health, your spirituality, your community. And it's really such a great exercise for them to do, is like, where do they see themselves in a year, and how can they build their way back up? And it really gives them that thought process to just build themselves back up and go, actually, I didn't think about a year. All I thought about was the next day. How was I going to breathe, sleep, eat, and all of this? And you are providing a place where they can have that leverage. So you can say, look here, so I want to bring you back into the world where, you know, anything is still possible. You just have to hyper focus on something. Then the second thing is, I have my Build Your Brand course, which at the moment I'm training turns, so I've got a group of interns. But this course material, again, of anybody who wants to build their business. So I know it's not going to be for everybody, okay? But I believe in the power of anybody that has a brain. And if you survive on the street, you are a hustler, in my opinion. If you are still alive, you are a hustler, whether you were dealing whatever, legal, not legal. At the end of the day, you've got hustle material in you. So what I'll do is I'm starting in April, and I'll be broadcasting all the information online and stuff like that. But I will speak directly to you both to provide information for you, just to see if that's something that can be great for you. You can also use it for your own business to help build your brand and everything like that. But maybe it's a facility that can help in the future. And then the question that you said about the website and showing, I would love to have you feature on my website, because this is something that I'm doing anyway. Is I will have like a charity section where it's giving back, and I would love to feature you on my website alongside. I know there's also Deborah's Panduka tribe that I want to also feature on there to help the youngsters. So yes, you're in.
Thank you. Thank you, Tasha.
Thank you, Tasha.
Awesome. Thank you,
Sorry,
Tasha.
Stephen, that I shout in your ears. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. Shut.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so we had a heart from Mr. Sales.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So I didn't hear the story. I totally missed it because I was like so late coming in. But I heard all the valuable information. And I think one thing that I've realized, like with NPOs, with any nonprofit sort of, and any sort of giving space business, is that you need to, no matter what, the donors need to see benefit, right? So I know there's one great example, actually the best example that I've ever seen, is a company called B1G1. So what they've managed to do, and I just want to offer it to you as an example, as something that could be really, really powerful. So basically they've linked, no matter how much money you actually donate, like you can donate $1, and that will equate to a child having water for a day, right? So if you can see how you're transforming people's lives and equate that to the money that you're getting, they can literally say, because at the end, when you invest, because you'll accept any amount of money to help in your cause, right? So if we invest like 1,000 Rand, you can say that 1,000 Rand helps to feed someone X amount of meals, for a day, for a week, whatever that is. And and then that's something that they can put on their website, like Tasha, and say, like, I've actually invested, like, let's just say she knows that she's investing 3,000 Rand a month to you, for example, and that's equated to feeding 100 people for a month. And then what she can say when she's selling it off to her customers is that by you buying from me, you are actually feeding 100 people, for a month.
Yeah.
So it links in the entire value chain, right? So now she can sell it off to her customers, and they can feel like they're feeding into what you're doing.
Nice.
That's a very, very
Boom!
good idea.
Huh?
Very, very good idea. Thank you. That
Mm.
was awesome.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I think like
Brilliant.
it's not mine, but but that way of doing it
Absolutely.
just changes everything. It changes the perspective and puts the value back in Tasha's customers' hands.
Yes.
You know, so it becomes your donors can be like, wow, they can actually see tangibly how much value they bring by every cent that they give to you, and then on top of it, they get to sell it on to their customers and look good in front of their customers. So I think
Very, very good.
that might
Yeah.
be
And
a
with
nice way to earn it, even if you had to go in the GoFundMe way. You know, like Meals on Wheels is another South African one that I give to, and they, you know, they've done it so well. I know I give 180 Rand a month, but with that 180 Rand, I know it feeds families, like 30 families are fed. So, and that makes me feel good. So
Absolutely.
that is maybe something to just think about in terms of super tangibles for your customers.
Okay, awesome. That's
And
very,
that's
very
why
good.
we call you Mr. Sales.
I'm gonna give
Like
if I can.
I think that is a campaign that is well worth establishing.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
just to
that's
give-
valuable advice.
Yeah. I mean, if
to
I
give
was
you
walking
guys,
in,
sorry, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, to give you guys an idea, that's why I think that's a very good idea. Number one, we're doing a project called Adopt a Soul. So instead of going out there, driving up the road and giving that guy money for whatever, we know what it's going to be for, but sponsor him one night in the shelter and say to him, get off the street. That's one idea. It's called Adopt a Soul. The second thing is to give you guys an idea of the poverty out there. We do 100 meals on a Wednesday and 100 on a Saturday. And we get into our little bucky and we go halfway up our main road here in Brakpan, and that food's gone already. It's gone. That's 100. We haven't even covered the rest of the street. So
Wow.
that is giving you an idea of the poverty out there. So if you had to equate it and put, look at what the need is out there, and any sponsorship would maybe cover one person for a month or whatever, I totally agree with you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Yeah, I think for your random, if we had to create a random person in our minds, if they were walking into a shop or they were walking into a hardware store and they were buying products and they knew that a percentage of that was going to a cause, it's a feel good buy. In other words, I know I'm buying something for myself, but I also know that by buying this product, I'm helping or putting towards a cause that is bigger than myself. It's a feel good. So I think that is definitely, Marlon, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's a campaign that is, that needs to run.
For sure. Okay, and we also had a heart from Miss Dolphin. Leonie, Boss Babe magazine owner, you look lovely today. What is your best advice?
Okay. Well, I'm glad Steven's going to help you write something. He also works with me on a magazine. So I think we can use that and put it on our website for exposure. So I think I can help you with exposure because we're sharing it all over the world. It's a global magazine. So that's what I can do for you guys.
Epic! Thank you, Leonie!
And thank you what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Leonie.
I need to interrupt you quickly. Sorry. Peter, can you I've just phoned my friend Alan, the guy that I was telling you about that's kind of like experienced in funding and sponsorship, and he's going to come onto the chat show now.
Oh,
just sent him the link, so if you can let him in, and he wants to.
Oh, this is epic!
See, and this is how things go when you work in tribes. Stephen, you are fantastic.
Legends, all of you are legends.
Okay, so can I just introduce him to you quickly, and then then Tina and Beth, you can meet him, and then you can chat to him afterwards at any time.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I nearly helped him get divorced on his wedding day. I was his best man in 1985. So we nearly went rubber ducking instead of getting married, but the weather was a bit crappy, so he got married.
Awesome.
Alan, you're on mute. Flames, you're on mute.
I think that's the saying of 2020. You're on mute.
Oh, okay. I didn't say you are mute. I said you're on mute.
Both probably.
You can put your video on, Flames, so people can see you.
I'm sitting in the car, so
That's okay. We're not fussy.
Welcome, Alan.
Okay, so Alan, I'm going to leave yourself off mute. That's Nestine and Peter. They host and founders of this show that we're on, an Explore project. And every Friday they have a coffee shop conversation. They have guests. And the two guests, I don't know if you can see them. I'll introduce you to them. It's Tina and Beth. So you can just give Alan a wave. So they can tell you quickly, probably more briefly than I will tell you what they're doing. And then maybe you can just give them a heads up. And the show is going to finish in 10 minutes, but you can then connect with them maybe afterwards, next week or so on. So I'm going to let them tell you. As a very good friend of mine. I don't know if he will be after the show, but he is.
Hi, Alan.
hello, hi.
How are you?
Good, strong, fine, thanks.
Complaints. Like we say, I'm Tina and this is Beverly.
Okay, great.
So, Alan, what we're doing here at Soul Outreach is we help the people in the community to uplift them, and we take them into our overnight shelter. I didn't tell you guys, our organization yesterday was 2 years old, and our overnight shelter was 1 year old. So, Alan, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get resources and the funding to help these people in our community. Like I said, what we do is we take them into the shelter, we give them spiritual upliftment, we give them their pride and their dignity back. Like we said, most of these people have been living on the streets like 3 months, 10 years, 5 months. Not everybody is fortunate to have a roof over their heads. Most of the guys have lost their jobs and their homes because of COVID. And it's like people that do not have humanity anymore to see your neighbor or the person that you've known for so long sleeping on the street. So what we do is we bring them into the shelter. We provide them clothing. We provide them 2 hot meals, actually 3 meals now. It's 3 meals a day now. We give them a bed to sleep in. We give them clothing when we do get sponsorships in for clothing. So what we're doing is we bring the women, children, and men in, and we're giving them some sort of form of work to bring them back on their feet. Most of the women, like I said, that we brought into the overnight shelter, basically what we've done now is we've given them some kind of pride back to work for Soul Outreach as representatives. At this moment, our biggest problem is our funding, and we can most probably home 20 to 30 more people with our property that we've got on our premises right now. But it's like streaming in water, it's pouring down there, and we cannot put anybody in there right now. And we would like to open up 20 more Soul Outreach overnight shelters to take the people off the street. Yeah, to be honest.
You mean nationally? Nationally, okay.
Yeah, so I think this is just a great space that we've actually managed to create, where we can actually offer as much advice to people like Martina and Beth, but we can only go so far. Our limitations are obviously exactly what they are. We can only give the advice that we can give. So Ellen, is actually fantastic of you to actually pop in.
No, it was a pleasure. Are you, I mean, Steve, I wouldn't trust Steve to give me much of a recommendation, so just be careful. It was him that told me to get married in the morning so that if it didn't work out, I could get divorced in the afternoon.
Did not say that. I said if it didn't work out, you won't stuff up the whole day. Talk to them about the what's name, Flemish, not your wedding.
Yeah, look, fundraising. Look, fundraising is selling. It's if you're not a salesman, you're probably not going to do that well. You know, if you can write a good proposal, there's so many components to fundraising. I'm just trying to encapsulate it in a few minutes. What I did, I raised over about 7 years. I raised about 100 million. But I had a particular formula that I used to fundraise with, in that we had a rundown property, and we were also consulting to Black entrepreneurs to help them with their businesses. So what I did was I went to funders and I said, look, you know, if you give me R1 million or 100,000 Rand or 10 Rand, we will redevelop the buildings. We'll put 80% into the buildings, and we'll rent the building out to the very entrepreneurs who we are helping in our business development center. And so we'll show you a return on your investment with the rental income. And the more money we put in, the more rental income we got, because the more buildings we opened. And so in a way, I became a property developer, a tenant management expert, and a fundraiser. But the formula that I used was to say to the entrepreneur, to the funder, what can I do for you? What do you need in order for you to give me your money? You know, do you need a Section 18A certificate? Do you need visibility on your webpage? Do you need access to our entrepreneurs about how we've managed to help their businesses and so on? So the one portion you've given me is very, very valid about what you're doing to help the homeless and so on. And that is one side of it. It's pulling on the heartstrings of the funder. But then a funder is sitting there with 20 people outside the door with you know, equally important causes. And he has to decide, what's he going to give his money to? Who's he going to give his money to? And the funder could well be mandated to only give to early childhood development, or only give to you know, Black entrepreneurship, or whatever it might be. These companies tend to have a theme that they go with for a couple of years, and then they might change their theme. And you, if you're on that theme that is no longer part of their core focus, then you're going to drop off their funding list.
Absolutely.
So you have to look at funders. You have to source funders who, firstly, might have quite a general idea of what they want to fund. So, you know, as long as it meets our general criteria. So, for instance, if you go to Sasco or to Pioneer Foods, they might want to help homeless, but they'll give you food. They won't give you cash. So the most difficult thing to find is what we call the core expenses, which is your salaries, your rent, your telephones, all the things that pay you to do what you are doing. Fundraising is quite difficult in South Africa and very different to America. In the US, the funders like to fund the entrepreneur. They back that guy's idea and they give him the money. They say, go do your day and pay yourself with it. The unfortunate thing in South Africa is that funders tend to want to fund the project, but not you. So if Elon Musk was in South Africa, they would fund his rockets, but they wouldn't fund his living expenses and all his salaries and his engineer salaries and so on, and all the development costs. They just want to fund the rocket. So, I mean, that's probably a bad example, but these are the kind of, you have to, if you're fundraising and you want to really get your funding pipeline full over the next few years, you have to firstly get onto the funders, into their budgets, because funders run 2-3 years ahead with their budgets. So they allocate their money two or 3 years ahead. So the first 2 or 3 years in a funding, in a fundraising effort is the most difficult, because you're trying to get onto their books. You might get lucky and suddenly come up with a win immediately. Don't just get discouraged by what I'm saying. I'm just kind of putting out there the way the fundraising world works, especially the big funders, the Anglo-Americans and the big guys who you might be chasing after. Then I'm going to skip across a little bit here and just say, don't neglect the 10 rands and 20 rands, and see if you can get a crowd. I don't know if you're doing the crowdfunding. I'm sorry, I'm sort of coming in here blind, but the 10 and 20 rands from the moms and pops adds up as well. So I tended to do both. I tended to go for the big guys, but also we had a fundraising effort for 1,000 rand here, 2,000 rand there, and it was quite significant in the end. How much? 100 people giving you 2,000 rand each is 200,000 rand. So you kind of have to think, what's going to be my focus? What's the best use of my time to go fundraising, and what is my target market for a homeless shelter or 20 homeless shelters? And when you go to a funder, it's funders don't read long documents. It's no use putting out a 40-page document about how bad the guys have it in the homeless, and so we've seen them on the streets. We know the plight. So you're approaching with something that they encounter every day. So these are the positives that you'll be looking at when you fundraise. You go and you say, look, how many guys did you see on the streets coming here to work today at the traffic lights? Well, we help them. But what I found was that, especially more and more, I don't read an email longer than about 5 lines long. It's just too long for me.
It's because you can't.
Probably, yeah.
Sorry, I had to get in there.
So I don't, similarly the other way around. The thing I used to do was go to a funder with an overview. So it would be sort of an infographic of how their funding would be spent, the return on investment that they'd be getting. In my case, there was a return on investment. They wouldn't get that return on investment, but it would go towards paying our expenses. Eventually, when I'd raised about 40 million rand and put that into property, the rental income started covering our core expenses. So I hardly needed to go fundraising, but then it became, can you give us some money? We want to help more Black entrepreneurs. We don't really need the money for ourselves. So I think what I'm trying to say here is a question is there any way that you can utilize any of the funders' money to develop an income stream for the organization? I'll give you an example. In the beginning, I would say to them, if you give me R1 million, I will put 800,000 rand, 80% into that building. And I'd show them the building on a picture. I'd say, this is the building we want to fix up. This is the rental income. If you give me R1 million, 800,000 is going to go into renovating. 200,000 rand is going to pay salaries towards our budget. It was about 3 million rand a month towards our budget of paying salaries and so on. So they were attracted by the return on investment and the fact that we were in a sweet spot. Funding, changes almost every year, or every 2 or 3 years. There's these sexy things which come up. So we hit the sweet spot in Black entrepreneurship. And then it fell away, and early childhood development became the in thing. I think ECD is still quite a focus. I'm not quite sure. I've been a little bit out of fundraising recently, but I'm not quite sure what's the new sexy thing for South African funders to fund. But a short introduction, a leave behind, some pictures, some images, some bullet points. See if you can get your foot in the door, and really from there on, it's a numbers exercise. How many funders you can see? How many? There's no easy way. I'm sorry to say, you might hit a bit of a luck, but I built up over years a funding stream that continued to enjoy what we were doing. And
James?
yeah.
Sorry, I just want to, because I know they're quite strict on the time, and I really honestly, I mean, Tina and Beth can chat you now. I really appreciate you taking my, well, I appreciate you taking my call for number one, because you never do that. And the other thing is, I really appreciate you coming on at such short notice, and you've just given such valuable information, and you've actually given me an idea when you said putting money into the building because they have the space, and they might not need that. They need the space for the shelter, but you've given me an idea. Maybe they can put up and rent space out as well to entrepreneurs, where part of that income goes to the business and part of it goes to the homeless people, because they can't pay rental income. So anyway, that's for a discussion. I'm going to ask you, if I get Beth and Tina's number, well, I can get it, can we hop onto a chat, and maybe Ernestine and Peter want to come that sometime next week, and maybe when it's convenient, and we can continue this valuable chat that you, and input that you bring from your expert experience. Can we do that?
Yeah, with pleasure. You know, I'll
flipping lucky.
Exhaust.
We did karate together, so, and he was better than me. That was a bit brave on Zoom.
Yeah, pleasure. I'll exhaust my information and pass it on to you with pleasure. Look, it's not foolproof. You know, I spent a long time developing relationships. Another guy who took over from me did a whole, Facebook thing and Instagram and so on. It didn't work. He got nothing in a year, a whole year of fundraising online, sitting at his desk. The fundraising I did was relationship based, and go and have a cup of coffee. Sometimes it took a while to get in that boardroom.
You just touched Peter's heart.
Sorry?
You just
spoke to Peter. Peter's a relationship man.
There you go. Yeah. No, that's what I was comfortable with. I'm old school. I can hardly operate Facebook. I actually don't know how it works. I'm not on Facebook, so
that's why
I didn't do that. Sorry.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
Alan, guess what? You're actually live on Facebook right now, and on YouTube, and on Instagram.
So you know how
That's what the tribe is for.
Okay.
So Flames, I'll get their number, and then because I've got a session at 2:15, but I'll get their number, and then we'll be in touch, and then maybe Ernestine, you and Beth, and we can tap into more of Alan's expertise next week.
Epic.
100%.
Thank you, hey.
We might be on the road at the time, but it'd be great.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan.
Pleasure. Chat soon.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here at our show. And maybe we'll even continue this conversation live on the next show slot. We'll see.
That's possible.
That'll be really amazing. Also, just quick one. If you guys want to get onto the show, you need to connect with me and Peter. Come and see it as one of our global online speed networking events. We have one tonight at 6 GMT +2 time. We also have these things monthly. So if you want to get onto the show, come and see it at our global online speed networking, and then take care. We will see you again next week, same time, same place, with more epic real problems from real entrepreneurs / NPO owners, with real answers from real entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for watching, and those of you on Zoom that want to stick around for the backstage chat, feel free to do so. Otherwise, yes.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
We love you all. Thank you so much.
It's only a pleasure, and we love you. Bye-bye, online world.